Hello, Darklings! So, I have noticed a trend within the Gothic community that has become very popular that I wholeheartedly approve of, which is essentially looking like a fairy witch queen. So, Dark Forest Mori or Striga fashion seems to be the tag that goes along with these descriptions, and it actually is popular outside of just like the goth community. So, even if you're not like goth or whatever, this could still apply to you. And this is just some of the stuff I've noticed is good inspiration for it, a good way to get ideas for it if you like that way of dressing and want to get some ideas on how to dress that way, and a few DIY tips. So, first off, I don't know why, but it's her fault. Okay? This is Stevie Nicks' fault. Because she's been doing that Fey Witch Queen thing for a while now. Like, since the mid-70s. She owns it. I got these records pretty cheap, and I love them both. I'm not even ashamed. Belladonna and Rock a Little. So, that's pretty good inspiration to start. Just like with the long, flowy, drapey dresses and the giant velvet shoes. That's Stevie's thing. And she really got that look down to the point that it was kind of... It inspired pretty heavily this indie movie from 2001 called Gypsy 83, which if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend it. Really, really cute movie with really good characters, and they are goths, and they talk about Stevie Nicks, and it's very interesting, and also tells you why you shouldn't go to Ohio. But in the grand scheme of things, if you wanted to kind of go for that fantasy fairy tale creature look, which is pretty much what I strive to do every day, if I'm not looking punk rock, I basically want to look like a supernatural creature that probably eats the hearts of small children, which is great. I'm all for that. Hence the fact that I am wearing antlers, which came from Hysteria Machine on Etsy. And by the way, they're antlers, not horns. There's a difference, because antlers are shed and horns are not. Fun fact. But as I mentioned on many, many occasions, I get a lot of my inspiration from 80s fantasy films, such as Lady Hawk, Labyrinth, of course, Legend, and The Dark Crystal. So those are also really good sources of inspiration for clothing ideas, aesthetic ideas, just kind of your color palettes or whatever you like. They're also just fun films to watch. Another basis for inspiration is Holly Black. This is her most recent book, The Darkest Part of the Forest, which I loved because I love everything she's written, but my other books of hers aren't here. They're at my dad's house. And so this is just the newest one. It's all nice and pretty. And it was a very good read. I was not disappointed. It was worth the wait. I was so excited. But going back like into her older stuff, I do have Arthur Spiderwick's Field Guide, because I couldn't not. Are you kidding me? But, like, you can dress like an elf, man. You just make your clothes look like they're made out of leaves. It's so much fun. I am fully supportive of it. I'm also a giant Brian Froud fan. So, Trolls is a book he did with his wife, and you have a lot of these really cool aesthetics in here, very earthen tones with the long hair, beads, the leatherwork, the bone jewelry, all of that fun stuff. This book's actually really cool and really cute, and I have like 12 of his books, and I'm not sorry. But going back a little farther, his more classic collaboration with Alan Lee, which was Fairies from the 70s. This is a first edition, so it smells like the 70s. And I have to resist the urge to like stick my face in it because it's so good. But there's the puka. So, yeah, basically take inspiration from fairy folklore is kind of like my thing, because I also am a folklore junkie and I read a bunch of crazy stuff that I know not everybody wants to take stock in, but you can just go to the 80s, because for some reason I have acquired a Lord of Darkness action figure from a toy shop when I was still in Georgia. I also got Nuada from Hellboy 2, which is another good source of inspiration, or both of the Hellboy films, which I didn't bring my DVDs to show you. Anyway, moving on to the more practical way to show you how to dress, is basically having your ears pierced is very, 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 very helpful. So, like, I layer up like crazy when I'm wearing jewelry And when I'm wearing necklaces, I'm wearing like 6 necklaces today, and I'm wearing all of the earrings that I can get to fit in my ear. But like, here's some cool ideas. I mean, these are super cheap. I got these from work at Claire's, with some charms that look like bone and feathers and random beads. This kind of stuff is really cool and really fun to add into the layering effect. Because what I've got going today, these big pentacle earrings I got from Spencer's around Halloween last year, since I get asked every time I wear them. These are fairy wing earrings from Silver Branch on Etsy. These are some like fake gemstone and feather earrings I got from Michael's. And then because I don't change out my cartilage piercings, I just clip things onto the hoops. So here's a little skeleton and a little feather. And on the side, I have a little amber bead and a fairy. So I just like clipping stuff onto my cartilage piercings. If you don't have as many piercings in your ears as I do, like, I don't blame you, because most people don't. And it seems to be a topic of amusement when I'm at work, since I have the most piercings out of anybody that works there, and we pierce people, which is weird. Anyway, moving on. Bone jewelry is also kind of a unique way of kind of going for that witch look, because it freaks people out, and it also looks really cool. So these are bobcat jaw earrings I made last summer. I found them in a bone shop when I was in Portland visiting a friend. Being super careful, I managed to poke a hole in the top part of each mandible and threaded some wire through and managed to attach earring parts to them. So that's bobcat. Bobcats are pretty little. I've seen them around where I'm from. Another one, because I have had several people ask me about these, and I showed them in a DIY video a couple of years ago, like, it's been a while, are these skeleton hand earrings. So at Michael's, you can get a pack of these skeleton hands that are like neutrally colored. And I just painted them black and white and put hooks on the top. And I mean, they're outrageously large, and they touch my shoulder, and they're slightly annoying, but they look really cool and kind of go with that spooky kind of vibe. But for the most part, a good way to look exceedingly spooky with your earring choices is always going to be feather earrings. I got these from a costume shop, I think. They touch my shoulders. Like, these are really long. And because I have multiple piercings, sometimes I'll just wear 3 pairs of really long feather earrings because it's fun. Although, if my hair is down, I keep brushing them aside, and, oh, I drive myself absolutely nuts. Anyway, so feather earrings are a fun way of doing it. Another thing that I kind of blame Stevie Nicks for is kind of wearing the witchy type of hat. Now, this hat, which I've worn, and every single time I wear it, people ask where I get it from, and they're not understanding that occasionally I will buy stuff from stores that you cannot get to. I got this in a beauty shop when I was still living in Georgia. I actually got it so I could be David Bowie for Halloween, so it ended up being a really swanky hat, especially because it's not a trilby. Yay, it looks kind of like a fedora, but smaller. Trilbies are the one with the bad rap. So I don't really know what kind of hat this is, but I do like wearing it, and it definitely goes for that witchy aesthetic kind of thing. It sits really far back on my head, like it automatically tilts really far back, which is why you just see like this black halo around my head in the pictures when I wear it. Also, like, I do like going for the punk rock kind of look. That's kind of the thing that I really like doing when I'm not being the fairy witch queen. And this was one of the more recent vests I did, and this one was for me, and it's not for sale. This is me specific, and I spent a lot of time on it, driving myself absolutely nuts. So I have references to Lady Hawk, Labyrinth, Legend, and the Dark Crystal on here. I sewed buckles I took off of my boots I sadly had to throw away. I made a bunch of buttons to put on here. Sewed a bunch of crazy shit on here, painted on it, put little spikes on it. I put keys, random doohickeys, all this stuff, which is kind of that magpie eclectic look that you might get with a fairy tale creature. So the idea behind that vest was to be a little bit Goblin King and a little bit Road Warrior, I guess. And the Road Warrior, I guess, is mostly just the buckles, because I had all these buckles lying around for my boots I had to dismantle. So repurposing is a really good DIY trick, and sewing through leather is a bitch. Anyway, I don't know if anybody wants to take that road, but if you have like spare shiny bits that you want to sew onto fake leather, definitely goes for that good magpie aesthetic that I would say comes with the fae, because they like to collect random items. If you wanted to know pretty much anything about fairies or the good folk or the good neighbors, like just you can ask, and I will give you a folklore intellectual answer. Anyway, moving on. Also going with that kind of Stevie thing is the shawls. This is a velvet or burned velvet shawl with the fun tasseled edges that I found in a vintage store when I was still in Georgia. This is like the best find ever with these really cool peacocks on it. I love it. And I just like to kind of wear it over my shoulders. It's very dainty and feminine, which I know for my male viewers that's not helpful for you. Most of my videos that have to do with fashion aren't helpful for guys, and I feel really bad. I dress more femme, and I can't really help you. Sorry. Again, lace is super important, and actually, for that matter, guys can totally wear lace. There's nothing wrong with wearing lace, because lace is awesome and so pretty. I don't even know what this is. This is a piece of lace I just happen to have. So it's really fun to just kind of do that, and then this is like a shawl, which you cannot, it does not read on video, I'm sorry, that I just kind of, it's like a poncho type of shawl that I just kind of draped over, and I think that's kind of a cool kind of witchy thing, especially if I'm being lazy and just want to be comfortable, because on the one hand, I love wearing corsets, but I don't wear them as often as I used to because it's too hot in summer, and I'm too lazy when I'm standing on my feet all day to deal with not being able to breathe properly after 6 hours. I used to be really good with corsets, and now I'm not because I don't wear them like I used to. Anyway, moving on, as I get distracted like crazy and this video runs crazy, crazy long. There's also the super popular flower crown trend. Now, these are the flower crowns that I have gotten from work, which means that they're super cheap and a little bit shitty, but still cute. This is the most recent one. I haven't even worn it yet. It's just like blue and white flowers, which, I mean, totally goes with my hair. This is the one that I got like over a year before I started working there, and it's just elastic with the black roses that kind of sit. If you follow my Instagram, you see my outfit posts, you probably have seen all of these and what they look like worn. This one was like sitting on the clearance rack, so it was like $1. But that's a fun one. And then this is another one. Again, you've probably seen me wear it in videos, if not outfit of the day posts. That's all fun stuff. Those are all the crowns I've gotten from work. Like, these are a couple of the crowns that I've made. So these are actually headbands, and these are really easy to make, and I can tell people they're easy to make, and for some reason they're never going to believe me. And I've actually covered this in a previous DIY video like 2 years ago. And again, no one ever listens to me, it seems sometimes. Oh well. I also don't expect people to go that far back, so no real judgment. Basically, to do flower crowns, and this is pretty fall inspired, and there's a couple of photo shoots with me wearing it, and I really like this one. I need to sell the other one. You just take like flowers that you can get from Michael's, really cheap, just like one bundle of each kind of thing that you want to put on it, and get a cheap headband, which I also got from Michael's for like $1, and you hot glue it on in layers in whatever way that you think is aesthetically pleasing. I kind of put down some leaves, like these green leaves along the bottom first, then I glued down the flowers, and then I glued the autumn leaves in between the empty spaces to kind of fill it out. This one was even easier, which was literally just cutting the flowers off of their stems and just putting them down every other blue and black. So this one's very simple. And these are really, really easy to do, and they really don't take that much time. If you want to go for more labor intensive, but definitely has a different kind of feel, I just did these a couple of days ago, which was getting a pack of leaves for like $2 from Michael's, and they're the silk leaves, and then taking clips and sewing them on, if you can see the red stitching. It doesn't really take that long, and then you can have these nifty leaves that you can clip into your hair. And if you get them in smaller sizes, it's probably easier to work with. You can technically dye them. It's not really that big of a deal to do that. And that's all just kind of like a fun, easy DIY stuff. And I sewed a bunch of them for a rainy day, or for a photo shoot day when it actually is fall, which I'm waiting for with bated breath. Anyway, something that my mother gave me were these little clips that have like crow skulls and feathers on them. These definitely have that kind of witchy look to them. They look like forest witch to me with the bird skulls. Like, that's pretty forest witchy. These are also ones that I made, which were these little fabric clips that I was able to find at Michael's, and I hot glued some fake lavender, and those look really cute when they're just clipped in. Another thing that kind of goes for that weird boho aesthetic. I don't say gypsy because it's offensive. But the bohemian kind of aesthetic is the head wrap thing. And these are kind of fun. And it's really just a matter of like finding which one suits you. And I found this in the same place I found that hat. It was a beauty supply place in Savannah. And I don't know. These things are kind of fun. And they sell them at my work too. There's a lot of kind of tacky stuff at Claire's, but there's also a lot of fun stuff. Anyway, this was way more rambly than I intended, but I hope it gives you some ideas of how to achieve, like, the supernatural forest witch look, because I do it with flowy layers, layered necklaces, layered earrings, layered headbands, apparently, because I got antlers and spikes and a little bat. You can layer up jewelry, guy or girl, you can layer up jewelry for that kind of spooky look. It's kind of earth and tones kind of stuff. I'm wearing a suspicious kind of shawl thing that seems like it's made out of Spanish moss. And that's just like scrap Halloween fabric that I got from Joann's, and I poked a couple of holes in for sleeves. And then put a belt on to kind of hold it in place so it doesn't try and fall off my shoulders during the course of the day. Like, that's another way to kind of look super spooky. I'm also a big believer in, like, velvet. I own way too much velvet for one single person, so that kind of goes with that aesthetic too. Or, for example, my makeup today, I took kind of a page out of Allison's book and did the fairy swirls, which I did with Kat Von D Trooper tattoo liner, which is really simple eyeliner swirls. It doesn't take that much time. And also, in case people hadn't noticed, I did get my septum pierced recently, which was something I wasn't planning on doing, but ended up working in my favor. Anyway, super rambly. I do that a lot. I hope that you get some ideas from this video that can be helpful for you. Till next time, Darklings.